There's been a historic meeting in the White House today between Donald Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, in which the Israeli PM nominated the US President for the Nobel Peace Prize for helping in the fight against Iran. Joining me now is former Israeli government spokesperson Eylon Levy. Eylon, it's always great to catch up with you. How significant is this gesture by Israel?
Well, I think President Trump deserves a Nobel Prize for bringing peace between Israel, the UAE, Morocco and Bahrain in his first term. And he's certainly done more for nuclear disarmament now than anyone else, certainly President Obama, who won a Nobel Prize for the same reason, by making that historic decision to knock out the Iranian nuclear facilities. But, you know, President Trump's big test still lies ahead because he wants to be a big peacemaker in the Middle East. He wants to remake the region. He doesn't want to go back to October 6th, to the world that existed before Hamas's attack. He wants to bring more normalization agreements. There's talk of maybe peace with Syria, with Lebanon, with Saudi Arabia. And if President Trump can pull that off, then he definitely should be the front runner for a Nobel Peace Prize.
Yeah, I think that's a really fair point. I've got to ask you, how do you think that this will be deliberately misconstrued by the left, the pro-Palestinian left in particular?
We're already seeing how they're trying to spin it, pointing out the fact that the Prime Minister Netanyahu has an arrest warrant on him from the ICC, whose judges, by the way, are also sanctioned by the United States, are saying Netanyahu can't actually go to Oslo, although the judges of the ICC can't go to Washington either, talking about the fact that Netanyahu was a partner in Trump's attacks on Iran. But I think that only strengthens the case for President Trump getting that Nobel Prize. Yes, Israel and the United States work together to dismantle the Iranian nuclear program. The world is safer now than it was a month ago, because a month ago Iran was a nuclear threshold state, and it's no longer a nuclear threshold state. And I think a lot of people are very bitter that Israel proved a lot of people wrong, and together with the United States took that decisive action to stop the world's most dangerous regime from getting the world's most dangerous weapons.
Absolutely. I completely agree. And you mentioned just before as well, you know, this is a very important meeting. They're going to be discussing the future of the region, ceasefire talks in particular. What do you think we can expect out of that?
Well, Israel really stands at a crossroads right now. The IDF has captured most of the Gaza Strip. Hamas is a shadow of its former self. It's reduced to a guerrilla force. But it is still holding 50 hostages, 20 of whom are still alive, and they are being tortured and starved in the dungeons under Gaza. And Israel has two choices now. One is to go for a ceasefire with Hamas, strike a deal that will get at least some of the hostages back. And the other is to go all in towards a full military conquest of the Gaza Strip. Right now, Israel has said yes to the Qatari proposal on the table for a ceasefire. It's a bad deal. It lets Hamas keep half of the hostages pending more negotiations, but it would get at least half of them out. And the ball is now in Hamas's court. Is it willing to end the war that it started? Because for that war to end, it's not enough to just give the hostages back. Hamas is also going to have to lay down its arms to allow the whole region to move forward and the people of Gaza to break through from its jihadi regime.
Given, you know, you said Hamas is a shell of its former self, and there were even reports the other day that it is pretty much totally lost control now of the Gaza Strip. Why is it so difficult still to be able to get in there and get the hostages?
Because the hostages are being held in underground tunnels by captors who have orders to execute them if any IDF soldiers get close. That's why what Israel is trying to do is to put military pressure on Hamas to get better terms for a ransom to get the hostages out. But it's going to be very difficult to rescue them from tunnels 30 meters underground where they are chained and someone is pointing a gun at their heads. As for why it's difficult to defeat Hamas, because look how Hamas is fighting. It directly embeds itself inside hospitals and schools and even UN facilities, using civilians as human sacrifices. It doesn't care how many people are killed. That's why we've seen so much damage inside the Gaza Strip, because this is a death cult. And that's the reason we've seen so much damage. And hopefully a deal that will get at least some of the hostages out will give room for diplomacy to go to Hamas and say, it's game over. You're never running Gaza again. Just lay down your arms.
Absolutely. We all hope and pray for that outcome, Eylon Levy. Thank you very much for joining me on the show this evening.